That's number one. You kind of reset.
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
Same shoulder length, and the other. Hey everybody, welcome back. What episode is this?
20. I think I was supposed to have balloons or confetti.
We have each other.
We always have each other.
We have our book. We have our mugs. We have a highlighter. This is the 20th episode. We're just going to celebrate it verbally with a smile. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
My partner in crime. The podcast is called Real Health. It is the podcast where we teach you how to feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger. You know, if I want to live longer, I want to feel young. I don't want to live long and feel old.
Well, so, no, who wants that? I think that's probably why we ask patients a lot, right? About how long they would want to live, or like we have conversations about longevity. Most people are like, no, I don't want to live that long.
I don't want to live that long. Everybody says that.
Because they assume that they're going to be miserable, trapped in a nursing home, not able to be independent. And I mean, we know that once somebody goes into a nursing home, right, it's the beginning of the end for most. Because when you lose your independence, when you lose your hope, when you don't have something to do regularly,
it's very hard to get it back.
Very hard.
So don't lose it. Work on it. I don't care if you're 30.
To be active.
You could be 30 years old right now. You need to plan ahead.
100%.
And do so. It's pretty cool because it's fitting, because some of the things we're going to talk about today, we have some great articles today. But again, this is Real Health with Brandi and Amir. I'm Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor, and Brandi Rashidian is my other half, my partner in life and in business and in everything else.
And in crime. We're not crime.
Can't live without her. So let's get right to it. I just to let you know what's coming up is we're going to talk about the PTSD and stress anxiety that comes from the latest COVID-19 outbreak. The numbers have been increasing. And then we're going to talk about how other stressors, like being discriminated against, can actually affect your brain and gut connection and affect your health in a chemical way.
I know a lot of people just went, what?
Oh yeah, you're going to like that one. So we'll spend a little extra time on that one. But we're also going to talk about how popular weight loss drugs can be harmful and dangerous. And then we'll probably finish up with something fun called cozy cardio. So
it sounds so nice.
We got some good things to talk about. And then
my cardio is never cozy.
If we have time, we'll get to the others. But, you know, I think if we just get through those four, we are in good shape. So
Let's jump in.
Anything cozy sounds good.
It
does. Like cozy.
Matter of fact, I just thought of my warm, cozy slippers, and I wanted to curl up on a chair just now and watch a good movie. That's what I think of when I think of cozy.
Okay.
All right.
Talk about PTSD. So this is from the National Center for PTSD. The article is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and it says managing stress associated with COVID-19 virus outbreak. The COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak has the potential to increase stress and anxiety. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Both because of the fear of catching the virus and also because of uncertainty about how the outbreak will affect us socially and economically. Well, you know, we went through it for a couple of years, so we know it affects us terribly socially and economically. One benefit of the shutdowns from COVID-19 was that they declared us essential. You know, until 2020, chiropractic was not considered essential.
Yep.
And we weren't considered essential workers, but federal government and state governments around the country all declared chiropractors essential, which is a long time coming, and too bad I had to take COVID to do that. CDC suggests good hygiene habits to limit getting it. So basically they're talking about how you're going to be stressed out, you're going to be nervous, you're going to be worried, so you got to reduce that stress. I would recommend read my book to reduce that stress. I will go ahead and plug that proudly, because I don't think there's a better book out there on how to strengthen your body in the face of stress, because most people will talk to you about how to reduce that stress.
Right,
And
which is impossible, and that's in and of
yeah,
itself
you
is
don't have
stressful.
control over this outbreak. You don't have control over what the government chooses to do, or what your family members who stress you out do. But what you do have control over is how your body, your physiology, your emotional state responds to that stress. So that's why I recommend this book. But the article talks about how if you're really careful, keep your hands clean and all that stuff, stay away from sick people or coughing in your face. You have
Even outside of COVID, I think we should keep our hands clean.
it's not just
For the
about
record.
COVID. Talks about staying connected. When you have to socially distance yourself, try to stay connected in other ways. Telephone, Zoom calls, things like that. Talks about cultivating ways to be more calm, breathing techniques, which I'm a big fan of, yoga and exercise, and occupying your mind with positive things. The article also talks about preparing for a range of possible scenarios and having adequate supplies should sheltering at home be necessary to help keep you safe and stay calm. So they talk about having a kit with supplies that last you about 3 to 5 days. Certainly, you can always look up information on what you should have in a kit like that to survive without leaving your home. I know when the shutdown happened, everyone went after toilet paper.
Let's not do that again.
And we started naming our kids Charmin and Scott.
Although, let me tell you, there is a recommendation here in the Cultivating Ways to Be Calm, and they talk about having general supplies such as flashlights and batteries. I'm not sure how that's going to keep you calm while you're under the weather.
Yeah, and I think isolating yourself doesn't mean you lose electricity.
Typically not.
I mean, but that would be good for other disasters.
It's good if the power's going to go out.
Right.
It's very helpful.
So, okay. Improve your sense of control and ability to endure. I mean, these are all seems like general topics. And remain hopeful because everything does end. There have been pandemics in the past, and there will be pandemics in the future.
The good news is he knew it was going to end. I think we all were like, it felt like it was never going to end. And I remember having team members, I probably even may have said that. And he was like, I promise you, this will end. And look, you were right. You were right. You would be right.
Well, where I got that was, I think it was 1954. There was a polio outbreak.
Yep.
And there was the same thing. There was a shutdown. All public facilities, like public pools, were closed, and they told people to stay home and don't come out and everything else. And no one knows about that pandemic right now.
Right.
They never even mentioned it on the news. I mean, I literally had to search for it. Have we ever had a government shutdown before? And lo and behold, we did.
Yeah.
70 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, so be more patient and kind with yourself, they recommend. Celebrate your successes. Do things you enjoy, and so on. So now, staying on that theme of stress and anxiety, this next article, and this was the one I thought we would spend just a little bit of time on, plus with the drugs one. This is from NBC News, and it says discrimination may disrupt how the brain and the gut talk to each other, raising risk of obesity. So did you know your brain and your gut talk to each other?
Well, I do, but I don't think the general population probably realizes that.
Well, even they realize that. I think they think that it's more like the brain is the supreme leader, and it commands the gut what to do, and it's like a one-way street, but it's a two-way street. And then like the brain says, "Hey, gut, how you doing today?" And the gut goes, "Well, I could use a little more this or that." And the brain says, "Okay, I'll tell the hands to pick up that and put it in the mouth so it can come into the gut." They actually have conversations.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty neat. So think of it that way.
Matter of fact, I think every body part almost, right?
Oh, yeah.
That two-way communication.
Well,
every
the brain
cell.
is a supercomputer, and it's connected to every cell and every tissue, every organ in your body through these things called nerves, like wires. And those wires are like telephone lines. Nobody knows what a telephone line is anymore because it's all done wirelessly today. There is a wireless communication in the body as well. We don't need to get into that right now. That's a deeper conversation for maybe another type of podcast.
But I think just realizing that the body does have that two-way communication
Yeah.
is so important, because once we realize that, we can actually look at certain things that happen and go, oh, that's probably a communication.
Right.
It's not that I'm broken or my body is broken. It's that my body is communicating something very important, and I need to listen to that.
Absolutely.
So I call that a sign of health.
I agree. So, more than 100 participants underwent brain scans and had their gut bacteria measured to study the effects of discrimination. This kind of disruption, says, being discriminated against, being upset about it, could promote behaviors and increase people's risk of obesity.
Okay, so I think that's a good differentiation. So somebody who was discriminated against and it bothered them,
right,
would experience this. But it is very different than if somebody is discriminated against and they have a different mindset, that does not create a physiological response for them. Yeah. I think that's important because it speaks to the mind-body connection.
I wonder if that's why I was obese growing up as a child. I wasn't obese, but I was
You're on the heavier side.
Noticeably overweight.
Okay. And you struggled with a lot of discrimination and whatnot, just coming from Iran, not speaking the language,
right.
And
some bullying and so on. Yeah. Anyways, the study published Monday. So this article came out October 4th. Published Monday in the Journal of Natural Mental Health. Included more than 100 participants, mostly women, who filled out questionnaires to gauge their experiences of discrimination in their day-to-day lives. The participants then underwent brain scans as they were being shown pictures of sugary and fatty foods, such as cake and ice cream, along with pictures of lower sugar and low-fat foods like fruit and salad. They also provided fecal samples so the researchers could study their gut microbiome. In individuals who reported experiencing high levels of discrimination, the photos of unhealthy, high-calorie foods triggered a larger response in the reward processing region of the brain called the frontal striatal region. This part of the brain is also involved with motivation and executive control. The heightened response can lead people to reach for sugar and high-fat foods, the researcher said. Sugar is highly addictive and is often craved by people undergoing stress, including from discrimination. This was mentioned by a professor. I don't think you need to be a professor of medicine at UCLA to know that. But she or he, Arpana Gupta, I don't know if that's a lady, but I think this person is wrong about a couple of things, and I want to tell you why. I am a self-proclaimed expert on stress, having written 2 books on it. So it says, we grab that tub of ice cream, we go for these foods for comfort. And I want to tell you, it's not just comfort. It's not just an emotional thing. Right. The stress has 3 stages. If I was to simplify it for you, initially you get upset about something, like you get discriminated, and you become what's called wired. When you're wired, the body craves sugar, but it craves sugar for a reason. When you're wired, you're burning more calories. You're actually in a state of higher metabolic rate because your heart's beating faster when you're upset, when you're anxious, when you're worried, heart's beating. That alone requires more calories. And so what's going to burn faster, fat or sugar? It's going to be sugar. And so initially in that wired state, you're going to reach for the candy. If there's a bowl of M&Ms, bowl of Skittles, you're going to eat the whole thing. You'll be the person who says, I can't stop. I don't know why. I keep eating this sugar. I'm constantly having sugar cravings, because part of it is because you're upset, and there's a physiologic reason for that. And the second stage is when you become wired and tired. You stayed in that, let's say you're in a discriminatory environment at work. Every day you go to work or every day you go to school, you're being discriminated against. and it's upsetting you. Now you become wired and tired. You're starting to wear down. That's the person who says, I'm too tired to fall asleep. They're having trouble falling asleep. Well, your cravings are going to shift at that point because now you need more hormones like cortisol. Cortisol's starting to burn out. Your adrenaline levels are starting to burn out. Your adrenal glands are getting tired. You need more growth hormone. You need more testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Well, the precursor to those is triglycerides, which is fat. So now your cravings switch from just sugar to fat and sugar. So not only are you still going to eat the M&M, Skittles, and whatever candy bars you want, but now you want fat with it. So now you're going to crave the donuts and the ice cream because they have fat in them. You're in stage 2 of stress. If you remain that stage anywhere between a month to a year, you start to become just tired. So you went from wired and tired to just tired because now you're fatigued. And that's when your cravings change. Not only are you still craving the sugar and the ice cream and the donuts, but now you need salty foods. Now you want potato chips and pretzels, French fries. And so that's the third stage. That's after you're tired. Wow. That's the person who can drink coffee and still fall asleep at night.
It's so funny because do you know that when we talk to people, right, they say, and I'm saying like these are generalizations, right? But we talk to a lot of people and they go, oh yeah, I'm a sweets person. I always crave sweets. That's my thing. So we've literally taken this physiological thing,
made it an identity,
and we've made it who we are, right? Which is not true at all.
No.
So you aren't supposed to just crave sugar or just crave salt or just crave fat.
We're not cars that run on gasoline versus diesel.
Right.
we run on both. And we can train our bodies to do one or the other, and the bodies can adapt. Your body is able to, that's another thing this book is about, is how your body can adapt to your environment and how great it is at adapting. So you just change your environment and it'll adapt to that. So, but these are the 3 stages of stress. Yeah. Those are the food cravings. So I believe this doctor saying that, oh, when you're stressed, you just crave more sugar.
It's more to it.
For comfort reasons. It's not for comfort reasons. Yeah. You actually, the body also needs it. So, continuing with the article, what our study was able to do was that it was able to show this at the brain level as well as the gut level. So that's the difference. They actually looked at brain waves and then checked the gut. At the gut level, she said, it is a she. Good. At the gut level, she said, the study found that people who reported higher levels of discrimination had higher levels of the compound known as glutamate metabolites. These compounds are associated with inflammation, oxidative stress, which can damage cells and DNA. Glutamate metabolites can affect regions of the brain related to cognition, leading to difficulty controlling cravings and responses to high-calorie foods among people who experience discrimination. An excess of glutamate in the body can also lead to a deposition of body fat, especially in the abdominal region. And we also know when cortisol levels go up when you're stressed out, that also increases belly fat. So people who have a lot of belly fat have cortisol issues. Like if they're thin everywhere else, but their belly has a lot of fat, cortisol issues. Now, if that fat is on the inside, visceral fat, like around the liver, those could be people who are eating a lot of high fructose corn syrup because fructose, which is also in fruit, deposits in the liver, and glucose deposits as fat outside. Anyways, just a little tidbit.
Which is why some say things like high fructose corn syrup can be super detrimental and super dangerous to the body. It's one of the reasons.
Exactly. And the glutamate may also be involved in biological mechanisms behind depression and anxiety-related disorders. So how interesting is that? Somebody makes you depressed and anxious, your body produces this chemical that perpetuates the depression and anxiety.
Wow.
Anyways.
The body is unbelievable, people. Unbelievable.
It certainly is. Certainly is. Someone said if you take one cell from the human body and enlarge it to the size of a spaceship, it would be the most intricate spaceship you've ever seen. You wouldn't be able to create it or imagine it.
That's so neat.
Increased stress, he added, can break. This is another person who talked about this. can break down the gut barrier, which can trigger inflammation and even autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow.
So we certainly don't want it's also called leaky gut syndrome, where things leak from your gut into your bloodstream.
Well, isn't it funny that the whole nature of autoimmune is not knowing why the immune system is beginning to turn on itself, right? And so now we're seeing, through these recent studies that a lot of this can be triggered by the gut.
Yeah.
So even if it's just one study here that's saying that, people, if you are struggling with things like autoimmune, you need to look at your gut. Like, look at what you're putting into your body. There are many books, right? That one in particular that you've read, I have not read the whole thing, that talks about how you can eat to put, certain disease processes like MS into remission, right? So that gut health is so vital to a lot of these.
I summarized it in the book as well.
Yes.
It's by Terry Walls. Look up the Walls Protocol, WAHLS. Terry Walls, Dr. Terry Walls. She overcame MS with nutrition. Chronic stress can even exacerbate already existent gastrointestinal issues, including irritable bowel syndrome. And even at a low constant level, discrimination can cause chronic stress. Cravings of sugar could stem from childhood experiences, conditioned reflexes, and memory. So, well, that's because sugar is addictive. And the hard part is when you eat a little chocolate or sugar, you get a dopamine response in the brain, but you need twice as much to get the same dopamine response next time, which is why it's addictive. Yeah. Then you need 4 times as much and 8 times as much. It's a combination of our genetics. This is what the doctor says, which I think we both disagree on, that genetics is just a programming, like an app on your phone. It's an app on your phone. Unless you touch it, it's not going to run. So just don't run that genetic program. We all have genetic programs that we enjoy, and there are ones we don't like. So it's a combination of our social, cultural experiences. Some of those things, obviously, I mentioned that I'm not sure if I agree with. They asked if race plays a role in a 2022 study. Gupta, so that wasn't part of this study, but it's a different study. Gupta and her colleagues reported that among Black and Hispanic individuals, discrimination was linked to changes in the brain associated with psychological coping and increased inflammation. So in Hispanic Black populations, when they were discriminated, it led to increased inflammation and brain-associated psychological coping. While in white people, discrimination was linked to anxiety, but not inflammation.
Very interesting.
I don't know what I am. You're white. I'm somewhat white. I'm a shade of brick.
Okay, moving on.
You might be pink.
Depends on the season.
Peachish pink. I don't know what color you are. I don't know what color I am. Among Asian individuals, the study found a link between discrimination and behavioral changes. So white people did not get inflamed, but they got anxious. Asian people had their behaviors changed.
Interesting.
So I don't know if they got inflamed or not. But then the Black population, Hispanic population had a lot of inflammation.
It's just fascinating to me, and I don't know if we'll ever know what the what causes each of those differentiations.
I think there's too many factors. You can't. Too many. You can't test that. I mean, I don't think it's just the color of their skin.
No,
I don't think it's their genetics. I think it's cultural, social, and a whole lot of other stuff.
A combination of all of those things together.
Yeah, and how you respond. Like socially, you may respond to that discrimination a certain way versus the Asians respond to it a different way.
Correct.
But it's the same discrimination.
Which probably a lot of it has to do with culturally how they respond to certain things.
They never showed what happens if an Asian person discriminates against a white person versus an Asian person discriminates against a Hispanic person.
Oh, I'm sure all of that could change the outcome.
Why don't we spend some tax dollars researching some of that worthless stuff? But they recommend eating anti-inflammatory foods. Obviously vegetables are anti-inflammatory, but do a search for things that are anti-inflammatory. and taking probiotics, which I'm a fan of. Now, this leads to the next article. At the end of this article, it says innovations in medicine, including drugs like Ozempic, may also be a solution to help control eating habits. And Ozempic is a diabetes medication which is being used for weight loss. So they're saying that if you're discriminated against, take Ozempic. Well, I'm reading a little too much into it, but they're saying you could take the Ozempic if you're being discriminated against to prevent some of the brain-gut communication problems that you may have. So leading us to our next article, which literally does talk about Ozempic. This is from CNN Health. Researchers link popular weight loss drugs to serious digestive problems for hundreds of thousands worldwide.
That's scary.
A new study suggests people taking popular injected medications for weight loss, including Wegovy, Ozempic, Saxenda, and Victoza, may be higher risk. You know, I've heard these names everywhere.
I've heard a few of them. Not all.
They're becoming popular. But Ozempic being the most popular right now in the news and media, TV commercials, may be at higher risk for serious digestive problems such as stomach paralysis, pancreatitis, and bowel obstruction, compared with those taking other types of weight loss medications. So the other article just said that, you know, if you get discriminated against, you get stressed out, you have gut issues, take this. But this says you end up with stomach paralysis, pancreatitis, bowel obstruction, and so on. The study found risks of these events. This was funny to me. The study found risks of these events happening to individual patients appears to be rare. About 1% of people taking Ozempic were diagnosed with stomach paralysis, for example. Now, 1%. They're saying 1% is rare. Yet, you know, in the previous podcast, we talked about how 1 in 5.8 million was dangerous and not rare. And another study said 1 in 1,000, which is 0.1%, was very dangerous. Stay away from it. But when it comes to a drug, they say 1% is rare. Right. That means
that's why we do this, because if you do not take this information and really look through it, and then look at context in which it's being given, right? And see who's writing it and who benefits from it, it's going to be really hard to know what's what. Like 2 articles coming out at the same time. One is saying, hey, maybe you should take this drug if you have this issue. And we're talking about discrimination, which while I don't approve of discrimination, but we're saying for something like that, let's take a drug, right, to help with the physiological responses of that stress. People, there are a lot of ways you can deal with that stuff without taking a drug. And I hope you read all the articles that week, because, by the way, the one article that's saying take it, this one is saying it's linked to really serious problems. That's why we do this.
Like your stomach being paralyzed.
Right. That does not sound fun.
So, but demand for the drugs has exploded, with tens of millions now taking them worldwide. You know, like 1% of 10 million is 100,000 people.
That feels like a lot of people.
100,000 people, they lose their ability to use their stomach. Researchers may say even rare risks like these may amount to hundreds of thousands of new cases. When you have millions of people using these drugs, you know a 1% risk will translate to many people who may experience these events. The study authors also note that these problems are not mild. Bowel obstructions, for example, can be medical emergencies. Hey, I want to
very painful.
I want to say hello to the coaches we've been working with. My coach is Alan. Yours is Yvette. Yeah. I don't know if they're watching, but you know they've been helping us improve our body composition, and we don't use drugs to do that. And you know, you guys should get a coach like them. The prescribing information for Wegovy and Saxenda does caution about a host of serious side effects, including inflammation of pancreas, gallbladder, problems gallbladder problems, blocked intestines,
Those are all super
kidney
painful
problems,
conditions.
serious allergic reactions, increased heart rate, suicidal thoughts,
Oh.
and changes in vision, or people who have for people who have diabetes. Or people who have diabetes. So people who have diabetes have more severe, more frequent of these reactions. Warning about ileus or blocked intestines was also just added to Ozempic's warning label. So not just Wegovy and Saxenda, but Ozempic.
Well, those are the more rare, right, side effects that they say, or the less common. But even the common side effects are listed as nausea, vomiting, and constipation. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want any part of that.
Right. So get a little tiny bit technical. These the class of drugs these are. There's two types. One is called semaglutide and liraglutide, and both drugs belong to a class called GLP-1. So it literally all four of the drugs we just mentioned are two types of this class, GLP-1. It's called GLP-1 agonists. And what they do is they slow the passage of food through your stomach. So the way all these drugs work is when you eat, they slow down digestion. And I always thought that was a bad thing. I thought we'd be better to speed up digestion because food shouldn't sit in your stomach too long.
Right.
Because it actually ferments. Certain foods especially, like if you eat fruit like apple, banana,
Right.
things like, you leave an apple outside or a banana, say it browns.
Yeah.
So if it sits in your stomach too long, I don't think it's nutritious anymore. But that's my personal opinion. That is not something I've read in a research article. I know there's some comments we probably get on that saying that's not true. It may not be true. It's my opinion. However, I don't like to slow down digestion. I think digestion should be sped up. Anyways, in 2021, the US FDA approved semaglutide for people who are obese without diabetes who only need to lose weight. It's sold under the brand name Ozempic. When prescribed for diabetes, it's called Ozempic when prescribed for diabetes, and it's called Wegovy when prescribed for weight loss. So it's the same drug, two names, so that they can know what it's for. So if people are taking Wegovy, they probably don't have diabetes. They're taking the same drug, but they probably don't have diabetes. Liraglutide was FDA approved as a weight loss medicine since 2014. So that one was 7 years prior. And when it's prescribed for diabetes, it's called Victoza. And when prescribed for weight management, it's called Saxenda. So it's really two drugs, both slow down digestion in the stomach. Over the years reviewed, the researchers found that people taking Ozempic and Saxenda were much more likely to develop serious stomach and intestinal problems compared with those who were taking Contrave, which I assume is another weight loss medication. In absolute terms, there was a roughly 1% rate of new cases of stomach paralysis in the group taking Ozempic, about 0.7% incidence of stomach paralysis in the group taking Saxenda, and a roughly 0.3 incidence of stomach paralysis in the group taking Contrave. So that's the one that's supposed to be safe.
Right.
And it still had a 0.3, which means out of every 1,000, 3 people have stomach paralysis. Out of every 1,000.
That's a lot.
And millions are taking it.
I wonder how long that stomach paralysis lasted.
Well, there's a drug they have to take
to unparalyze it.
There were, and I don't know how successful that is. There were no bowel obstructions noted in the group taking Ozempic, but the study found a 0.8% incidence in people who were taking Saxenda. So Saxenda was less stomach paralysis, but more bowel obstructions, and a 0.17 incidence in people taking Contrave. So Contrave was still less, but still 0.17%. That means bowel obstructions were more than 4 times more likely in people taking injected medications compared with those on Contrave. I guess you inject the other two, Contrave you don't inject. Pancreatitis was another issue. Gallbladder issues and biliary problems were another one. The thing is, the study didn't include, they took out the people who have diabetes because they're more susceptible to stomach paralysis and all these other things. So can you imagine if they had included the people who were taking, because it's the same drug. just a different name.
Yeah.
So they're taking the same drug, and these people have diabetes, these people don't. And then if we measure what percent of them get stomach paralysis or bowel obstructions or gallbladder failures or kidney failure, I bet you that number is even higher.
I'm sure it is. I would actually like to see that comparison. I always feel a little gypped when I don't get that full piece of information.
So the doctor that did the study said he was motivated to do the study after treating a man in the emergency room department who was vomiting 15 to 20 times a day.
Whew.
Doctors couldn't figure out, when people start vomiting, they don't go straight to the hospital. So if he's been vomiting 20 times a day, how many days has that been going on before he ended up in the hospital?
Right.
So the doctors couldn't figure out what was causing it until they noticed he was taking Ozempic. And this doctor said they started the man on a medication that treats stomach paralysis, and he got a lot better. It doesn't even say it resolved the problem. He took medication for stomach paralysis, and it made him better. Thank goodness it made him better. Warning labels for their products currently don't include risk of gastroparesis, which is stomach paralysis.
So they don't even have that as a risk?
And one out of every 100 get it, but it's not listed on the label. The other stuff is listed, but not that one.
This is not the only incident of not being given all of the information. You need to make sure if you're being given something, ask for all the information on it before you put it into your body.
And this is what bothered me again a little bit about this. Listen, I'm not against medication. Neither of us are. Like when you need it, you take it. I've taken meds in the past, but the article says being obese is way more dangerous than taking a medication. So the risk outweighs the benefit. So they're saying in this article, go ahead and take the medicine. Go ahead and take it. Go ahead and risk the stomach paralysis, bowel obstruction, gallbladder disease, and kidney failure, because that's better than being obese. And I'm not sure if that's true. Now, we know obesity can lead to heart disease and cancer and arthritis and diabetes and stroke. We know that. But you could do other things to lose weight.
Right.
Speaking of other things to lose weight, let's talk about cozy cardio.
Here's the kicker. When you're obese and you start taking that medication, you still have all the same risk factors. You've just compounded the risk factors with new ones.
Yeah.
Because until that weight comes off, those risk factors still exist.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So now you've just doubled down.
You doubled your risk factors. That's a scary thought.
I mean, when you
I love that. That's really,
I just thought of that.
That's a fantastic observation. I hope you understood what she just said. She just said that the minute you take that pill, you're adding the risk of all the stuff that goes with that pill. And you haven't reduced your risk of obesity yet because you're still obese.
Right.
It's going to take a while for that weight to come off.
Right. And let's also know that I hope when they are being handed something like this, we are also teaching them how to change what they're doing in their life right now, because it's their lifestyle.
Right.
In many cases that are one of the contributing factors. We know there are other things that can contribute to obesity or being overweight. But a good part of it is what we're doing in our daily lives. And I know none of us want to hear that, because then that means we have personal responsibility, and that's hard. And I'm speaking from experience. I have to own that stuff too.
You've literally in a month changed your lifestyle.
Yes.
Now, Brandi's like...
Actually, I did it overnight. Thank you.
Weighing, right, but you've been living that lifestyle for a month now. She weighs her food, counts the calories, counts the macros, and her coach is watching over her like a hawk.
Yep.
which is pretty neat. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
So, final article. We're not going to spend much time on this because we're over time already. This is from Health News. TikTok's cozy cardio trend is a relaxing way to ease into fitness. This I thought was hilarious, but it kind of makes sense. And I don't know how you feel about TikTok or whatever. I literally have never watched a TikTok video. I've never been on TikTok. I know we post things on TikTok. Thank you, Sean, for doing that.
Sean's on TikTok.
That's right. I don't go on TikTok. Someone said you learn good things from TikTok sometimes. I think it was Dr. Michael. Dr. Michael said he sometimes he goes down these trails and there's actually valuable things on. Anyways, that's off the topic.
Well, there is valuable things on TikTok because we post on TikTok.
We post. Thank you. There's tremendous value. So we're talking about cozy cardio on TikTok. A new exercise trend known on TikTok as cozy cardio encourages people to take a gentler approach to working out by creating cozy exercise environments. Examples of cozy cardio include lighting a candle, playing soothing music, and enjoying your favorite protein drink while you complete a gentle cardio workout. Experts say the cozy cardio trend could help you build sustainable health and fitness habits. Cardio can improve your heart health and contribute to weight loss. And basically, cozy cardio, this new fitness trend on TikTok, takes a kinder, gentler approach to exercise. And if you find intense exercise routines intimidating, it may be an ideal way to get fit. TikTok creator Hope Zuckerbrow popularized the trend when she first posted her morning cardio routine on the platform. Her early morning cardio session involved lighting a candle, making an iced coffee, and donning fluffy socks before walking at a gentle pace on her walking pad for 40 minutes with a rom-com on in the background. So I'm sure you know what a rom-com is. I did not. It stands for
romantic comedy.
Yeah. Wow. So you can take a stroll on your walking pad, watch a comedy.
I just think that's funny. I can totally. Okay, so my coach Yvette, she has her pro card. She's unbelievable. She rocks. I would love to, as a joke, I mean, we've only known each other for a month or so I might need to wait a few months, but to send her a picture of me donning some fuzzy socks and with my cup of coffee going, I'm doing my cardio, and see what she says. I think she'll really laugh. So, and she might then go, I hope you're actually heading to the gym right now. So, or go get on your rowing machine.
They do talk about building sustainable health habits.
Yes.
And they say if you start with this, it's okay. You just want to see if it leads to something better. You never know what it leads to because you start to see some changes. You become more active. Who knows? When you remove the barriers to exercise, it paves the way for you to work out consistently. And when you train consistently, you're more likely to see improvements like increased energy and stamina. And it becomes less of a chore and more of an enjoyable experience that becomes part of your everyday lifestyle if you do it the cozy way. But, I think regular cardio has a lot of benefit, but they also do mention that you do need to add weight training. Cardio is not the whole picture.
It's not. And there's a lot of weight loss programs. And I think that's one thing, talking about weight loss on the last article also is that the biggest detriment for people when they begin to lose weight, especially if they have a lot of weight to lose, is we focus so much on just seeing the number go down on the scale. We don't realize what we're losing.
Yeah.
And I know we don't always want to admit to this, but we're also not just losing fat. In most cases, we're probably losing more muscle and bone if we have not included into that weight loss program some kind of lifting component.
Data is very clear. If you're over 40, when you lose a pound, 50 to 90% of that is going to be bone and muscle.
Yeah.
Not fat. So you got to do it the right way. You don't do a crash diet. Like you reduce your calories by just a tiny bit and you saw the weight start to come down slowly.
Well, what's funny is I had very often been on very low caloric diets.
That's true.
So I, for quite some time, had been on, off and on some really low calorie diets. And at some points I had seen a great reduction, but number one, I always saw it come back. And number two, being on a low calorie diet like that is not sustainable. Your body is not getting everything that it needs. And I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel like I do now. It's very different.
You're strong now. That's for
Getting
sure.
there for sure.
Anyways, as we age, we lose more muscle and more bone. So the focus should be building muscle. I know a lot of people have scrapped cardio and they only do weight training. And I think that may be wrong too. My coach has me do 5 30-minute cardio sessions per week and 4 weight training sessions per week. And you're like, wait, that adds up to 9. And there aren't 9 days in the week. That's right. Certain days I have to double up.
Yeah.
And I have to go to the gym twice in the same day.
And can't do that on 1,200 calories a day.
No. I'm right now. We just upped my calories by 530 calories, and I lost half an inch around my waist after increasing the calories. But that's because of the metabolism I'm on and the types of work I'm doing. So and I still do things like yoga, and I still spend 20 minutes stretching a couple times a week. In fact, look for our stretching video. I just did a video called Advanced Stretching for Elite Soccer Players.
Yeah.
Because our son is on a very elite soccer team at age 13. And he's not stretching enough. Neither are his teammates. So I want to teach them how to stretch. Anyways, great podcast.
Yeah.
We did get through all 4 articles. Keep in mind, next week we're going to talk about some cool stuff like the health workers that are on strike and what that means to us. And then there's an article on good cholesterol, but how good, quote unquote, good cholesterol will increase risk of dementia. Very interesting
We've been
stuff.
reading a lot about
We're going to
dementia
talk
recently.
about that. But today, remember, we talked about weight loss drugs. If you don't need them, don't take them. And do your best to lose weight naturally. And if you're
get an expert to help you.
That's right.
There's a lot of people who know how to do this right.
If you're discriminated against and it's upsetting you, the answer is Cozy Cardio.
Cozy Cardio. It's a great starting place. I'm going to go do some now.
I can't say it without laughing.
It does sound fun.
Okay. We just did some Cozy Cardio laughing.
We did.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Tune in next time. Congratulate us on our 20th episode.
Woo-hoo.
We are not stopping.
Yep. See you next time.
Bye-bye.